And Big Joe, we're live.
Okay,
How are you, buddy?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm fantastic, man. It's hey, I'm so happy that you could be with us after such a long shift.
No, it's fine for me. It's time to get a drink.
Speaking of that, let's start off with a little shot, huh?
All right. So I got my Bacardi blanco.
Joe, as is customary with every radical hangout, got to start with a radical shot. Here's to
Yeah,
you, my
okay.
friend.
So
Cheers.
I'm going to drink one sip.
Fantastic, man. Hey, it's an absolute pleasure to have you on the hangout finally. It's been quite a while. Let's start with a radical shot. Yeah, we've been planning this for a few weeks now.
Yeah.
So, how's everything been going with you and your legacy, and how are you finding the journey?
So my legacy, I'm still going on with my promotion and everything because so my next stage is going to be on end of Feb. We're going to Bangkok.
Okay, cool. And you're competing Malaysia, Thailand, and
There is 5 countries total. So Thailand, Malaysia, Singapore, Philippines, and Vietnam.
wow. And does each country get their own entry into globals?
So they going to pick the like country winner, and all of them will be compete in the Amsterdam.
Okay, cool, cool. And are you prepared with your speech? Are you prepared with your presentation? Do you feel like you're ready to get up on stage?
Yes. So my presentation, everything, I'm still practicing, and then my promotion wise is still like I'm a bit headache for me.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
talk
So
to me.
because
Talk to me about your promotion. Talk to me how your marketing campaigns playing along.
yeah, so I'm trying to get a few guest shift here in Kuala Lumpur, and then I try to visit my friends bar, like the bartender. We know each other, and then I will actually ask them to make my drink, and I try to actually cooperate with my hotel, the Four Seasons Hotel. So they're going to offer like for like a lunch for two. So they will I will come up with a competition. So the best picture. So they're going to take my picture of my cocktail, and then they're going to post it in the Instagram, in social media. So we're going to pick the best picture, and then we will give them like a coupon for lunch for two in our hotel.
Fantastic, cool. And is that something that you're playing just in Malaysia, or is this a global initiative?
I try to like contact with a few top three Bacardi legacy from the Southeast Asia. So we try to do like exchanging. So we will do each other cocktail, yeah, in the country, and we try to promote it.
Yeah, cool. I've still got to make your drink in my bar. I've been on holidays the last couple of weeks.
Oh, okay, okay, great, yeah.
It's
So
leading up to this Christmas period. It's just been insane. So once the bar closed down, I just took a step back, and it was perfect timing for me to focus in on legacy.
okay, okay. So how long is your holiday?
I go back next week,
Okay, okay,
so I'm going to go up north skiing. I've got some cool little events planned up there, and then it's back to work.
okay.
So, man, but one thing I wanted to talk to you the most about, it's the garnish.
The Garnish, yeah. Okay.
Uh, I mean, that has to be the most radical garnish I've ever seen in a legacy entry.
Yeah, so it's actually related to my story. So it's about the story about the James book. So he traveled, um, he traveled from India. So he's a British guy who was born in India, and then he traveled to Sarawak, which is the state where I born. So he sailed there, and then it took him like 6 months. So it's like a ship. So the Ganesh is like a ship.
And how did how did you link history with the drink? Why was it the British colonialism that you decided to zero in on?
Oh, okay. So I try to like because he was the founder of Sarawak, which is the place where I born. Um, he is like the founder. So I try to relate his story, like the place where I born, and then I relate it to my story, like the hardworking, and then the problem and the things that all the things that he faced during the 6 months when he traveled and he sailed to Borneo. So I try to relate everything together with my dream. So like the hard work and then the never give up. So he has a very strong will to like chase his dream.
Yeah, cool, man. Are you a history buff?
Not really.
So explain to people who are watching this right now, for somebody who isn't so into history, why is it that you decide to zero in on that? I know, obviously he's the founder of where you came from, but is there something else that drew you to that historical aspect?
Um, so actually we learn about the story of the James Brooke during our like a primary school or secondary school. So for me, he inspired me a lot, like the spirit that he carried, like the strong will, and then um he faced a lot of obstacles, but he like he still managed to like chase his dream.
Cool. So the White Rajah, it's an embodiment of chasing something that
Uh-huh.
you've been longing after for the longest time.
Yeah. Okay.
That's fantastic. You know, but again, I've got to talk to you about that garnish, man. That garnish is out of this world.
So for me, the garnish is actually very interesting. But the thing is, some of the guests when they drink the cocktail, it might a bit annoying.
And is that something that you're open to changing, or is that just something that's more for social media? Is it something more of a wow factor? Does it play a role in the drink?
Yes, because I think the garnish is served is like for me it has it like one of the it has the meaning behind the garnish. So I'm going to use the garnish for like continue using it. So
Yeah,
some of
cool.
my friends, yeah, okay.
It's saying for people watching this, choosing the right garnish for the right reason and the right purpose. It's so important.
Yeah.
And sometimes if you look at your garnish, yeah, like the first initial thought might be, okay, that's in the way. It might be annoying, but like you said, it's integral into the historical side of the drink, and I think that's important. And it comes down to you and people selling the drink to really push that idea. Have you found any difficulties with the garnish?
For me myself, I try to like I know the garnish it might take a bit of time when you are making the garnish. So normally before the shift start, I will prepare before the guests come to order the drink. because it took me like the fastest I can do is like 1 minute to make the garnish. So sometimes if I yeah, so I have to like prepare all the garnish before I can actually uh before starting my shift.
You have to be 100% certain on that presentation.
Yeah.
That's fantastic, man. Talk to me about legacy in Asia. This
Mm.
is the first time that I'm doing these hangouts. It's the first time that I'm meeting people around the world,
Okay.
and I'm really interested. I was in Kuala Lumpur 2.5 years ago,
Okay.
and
Okay.
there was this really cool bar called Tate Bar.
Tate.
Yeah,
Okay. Okay.
and I sat there for hours talking to the boys, and they were explaining to me this exploding cocktail scene in KL.
Yeah, the cocktail scene in the Kuala Lumpur is actually growing, but slowly. And then the Bacardi Legacy is actually the second year in Kuala Lumpur. So last year is the first year.
And is this your first year participating?
Sorry again.
Is this your first year entering in Legacy?
First years, yes. So last year I didn't manage to like get more detail on the Bacardi Legacy. So I think I will be more prepared this year. So I decided to join on this year.
Fantastic. So you entered last year, didn't make it through, and now you're a second round again.
No, I didn't go for last year because I don't know how the legacy things work. So I decided to like join this year because I have no idea my friend is joining for the competition.
And are you a seasoned competitor? Do you compete often?
Um, for me, I actually still quite young in the industry, so this is my fourth year in bartending industry. So the first and my second year, I didn't join any competition, and last year I joined one competition, and this is my second.
Well, that's fantastic. That leads to my second point about setting personal goals. So for a young bartender who doesn't compete very often,
Mhm.
how are you finding this monumental challenge? Because legacy is huge,
Yes.
and how are you finding it?
You mean in Malaysia, the legacy market?
Um, I mean, just in terms of getting the marketing ready, getting presentations, getting sales, guest shifts, competitions. I mean, it's a ginormous cocktail competition.
Yeah.
And sometimes I think a lot of bartenders who are competing all the time, we forget what it's like to be young, and we forget what it's like to be new at this whole endeavor. So how are you find are you enjoying the process?
Yes, I do. Yeah, because actually the legacy, it I have learned a lot from the competition. Like for me, I don't know how to actually do marketing and everything, but I learn step by step from this competition.
And have you had your seminar yet? Have you done your marketing seminar?
Um, Marketing seminar.
Yeah,
Um,
here in Sweden, we're heading to London,
okay,
and we're learning about how to market. We're learning about the tips and the tricks that a bartender needs to use in order to succeed.
okay. Um, we don't have the seminar here.
Okay, hey man, I'll be sure to pass you over some information when I'm finished with it. Uh, Hey man, talk to me about like what are your goals for legacy? Obviously to win Malaysia,
Yep.
but further on, let's say you win Malaysia, you head over to Amsterdam.
Uh-huh.
Uh, where do you see yourself taking this, and how do you see yourself taking advantage of legacy?
So for me, of course, is to promote my own legacy cocktail. I hopes I can actually like travel around the world, and then try to promote my legacy drink in each of the bar that I visit, and then tell them about the story behind.
You know, there was something Gomas, the sixth
Uh-huh.
generation Bacardi family member. He says that your legacy only ends when you decide that it wants to end.
Okay.
And I think it's such a beautiful statement because whether we make it to Amsterdam or not, we all
Uh-huh.
have the ability with social media, with contacts, to spread our
Yep.
legacies and to spread our drinks worldwide.
Yeah.
And so, how many countries is the White Rajah in at the moment?
I'm trying to get a few guest shifts, so it will actually starting from next month because like this month everyone is busy for the Christmas festival and the New Year. So even my hotel itself, uh, we are actually because a lot of promotion going on, so
Sibo.
we are trying to we are trying to promote at the same time.
And are you gonna try and stick just in Malaysia, or are you gonna branch out?
I hope I can actually get at least a few guest shift out of Malaysia, like maybe the nearest one is Singapore or Indonesia, like or maybe Thailand. So
Have you
whichever
traveled to
the
those
case.
places
So
before?
yeah, I did. So but for now, I can only reach them through social media. One is confirmed, so I'm still talking with them through social media. So one is confirmed, then I will be heading to like a few countries.
Fantastic. I mean, that's one of your goals, right? To travel.
Yeah. So how
So
about you? Yeah,
no, sorry, you go,
how did
man.
you actually yeah, so how did you actually promoting your legacy cocktail?
With Cubist Cocktail, it's kind of funny because I live in a really small town,
Okay.
and that's quite a negative.
Okay.
So I have to think quite radically. I decided in order to promote my drink, I wanted to go
Mm-hmm.
online.
Okay.
I wanted to reach consumers a little bit more so than industry.
Okay.
It's something that's been working really well for me. So, you know, I think for me, it's about setting priorities. It's about dividing industry from consumer to branding, and then all about making contacts. So, with every person I speak to, we all have different goals. We have different ambitions. We have different priorities, and more importantly, we have different markets.
Okay.
So, I'm not sure what the Asian market is like. I'm not sure how many White Rajas you're selling,
Mm-hmm. Okay.
but I'm sure it's more than I'm currently selling
Okay.
because in my small town,
Uh-huh. Okay.
I don't really have the ability to sell hundreds a night. So I have to
Okay.
try and find different ways to promote it, to send it out, to get people aware about it.
Okay.
And that
For
was a
me, I think yeah, okay, you continue.
sorry, and that was a huge component as to why the ingredients are what they are. Because
Okay.
I don't have the ability to show people.
Uh-huh. Okay.
It just needs to be a spec on a sheet. I can send it to Kuala Lumpur. Anyone can make it in Kuala Lumpur.
Okay. Okay.
and that was a huge factor for me, and that was the birth of Cubist.
For me, I like your logo. I think you are the first few legacy that actually like started the social media, like Instagram. So I find your logo is very interesting. So how did you actually get the idea, like how to design the logo, like the that kind of logo?
Yeah, I mean, if you take a look at the logo, it's the shape of the glass, it's the shape of the flute.
Uh-huh. Okay. Okay.
So Cubism focuses on fragmentation. It focuses on taking an image and distorting it through different perspectives and looking at it from different angles. And so that was the birth concept of the logo. And then I went to an illustrator in Italy, and
Okay.
I begged her to work with me. She she was fantastic. Shout out to Carlotta. Um, she really took my idea and she ran with it. She for a month we worked, we tweaked, we cut it, we separated it, we fragmented it, and after about 3.5, 4 weeks, it was done. And I had a look at it, and I thought to myself, "Bam, that's my drink illustrated." And I didn't want something that skewed too masculine. I didn't want something that skewed too feminine. I wanted something that was just clean, neutral, and a little bit weird.
Okay.
I think a logo it's crucial. A good logo really sends the message. People need to look at that logo. They need to see what the concept of the drink is of that first illustration.
Okay.
And that was one of the biggest personal goals for me at first was, I wanted to get a logo that I'd be happy to tattoo on my body one day.
Okay.
So we'll see. Maybe I win legacy and I tattoo it right on my neck. All right, talk to me about White Raj, man. Talk to me before we get any deeper into Cubist. I want to hear about what's inside your drink. Why did you choose those products, and did Malaysia influence those selections?
Yeah, so my ingredient for the White Rajah is I'm using the Bacardi Ocho, and then I'm using the PX sherry, lime juice, and then honey sesame syrup. So for me, it's actually I wanna make a twist on the daiquiri, and then so I use honey and sesame syrup because um for me sesame it actually related to the James Brooke because he is actually the one who doing the merchant trade between the India and Malaysia. So sesame is one of the item, and second thing is the harvesting of the sesame is actually is a tough job. So for me, it's like it represents the hard work. Represents the hard work, and then honey represent the sweetness, and then so actually, my first cocktail was I'm using Ocho and then lime, honey sesame syrup because I just want to make a simple daiquiri twist. But it's actually it's quite sharp the lime. So I decided to add a little bit of the PX sherry, but it's actually like a run up the flavor. So for me, um, I think like, oh, okay, this is the drink that I'm looking for. So I decided to go for the Bacardi Legacy with the drink.
Fantastic. And how long did it take for you to come up with that concept?
Um, I think took me about a few weeks. Yeah, because I have to think about like changing the ratio and then the recipe. How do I make the honey and sesame syrup? Um, because the honey and sesame syrup, I have to it have to be not too overpower all your drink. So I did my honey sesame syrup before for a cocktail. So I use the same ingredient, but I just have to adjust the ratio a little bit. So that was my idea for my White Rajah.
Cool, man. And are you getting a good feedback on that modifier from other people who are making your drink?
Well, they are yeah. Most of the people they think it's a good drink, but still, some of the guests they might not really like the sesame flavor, so they find it's a bit too, it's too overpowering for them. Yeah.
I have the same issue. I use pastille in my
Okay.
cocktail. Yeah, and maybe 30% of people, maybe they're not into that aniseed flavor.
Uh-huh.
And I think a tip for people who are watching this is don't get hung up on what one or two people think. If that's the drink that you love, and if the majority of people that are trying it are loving it, then stay with it. You have to stick to your convictions.
Yeah, so that's why sometimes I do tell the customer like what's the benefit of having a honey or the sesame. So I hope that it will actually change their mind a little bit.
And has it so far?
Some of the guests might they were actually like, oh, okay, they will actually go for something. Um, but some of them they think that the sesame flavor is a bit heavy. So I'm trying to adjust a little bit the syrup, so I hope that can actually fit their palates.
Yeah. I mean, that's interesting, man. It's interesting to hear someone being so open and honest about you know every now and then people not digging your drink,
Uh-huh.
because it's so often that as bartenders, and especially in these kind of competitions, we're always wanting to show people no, like everyone loves my drink, it's perfect, but that's not always the case.
Yeah.
So it's refreshing to hear that honesty. I really appreciate that.
But for me, I think it's a bit risky to use this kind of ingredient. For me, I know that sesame it might be very simple, but I did a mistake for my last competition. So I used coffee in my competition. So one of the judges he don't take coffee at all.
Oh,
Yeah, yeah.
and
So
how did you take that last lesson, and how did you apply it right now when you're using something that can be maybe a little bit overpowering for people?
for me, after the competition, the judges he talked to me, for the consumer wise, you have to think in a consumer hit their mindset. Everyone's they have something that they don't like. So you have to be very careful when you are picking your ingredients. So this one I think I have tried my best to make it balanced, so the sesame flavor it doesn't really overpower the in the whole drink. So for me, actually, the ratio and the recipe, I'm quite happy with it because I got everything inside. I got the depth and dimension. So for me, I quite like it.
That's fantastic, man. I'm always so happy to see someone so young doing so well, and being so passionate and driven and honest about their journey. So tell me what else do you have in mind for legacy? Is there something that you really want to do with this marketing campaign that maybe you know at first glance seems unachievable, unobtainable? I mean, do you have any crazy radical thoughts?
About a marketing campaign.
Yeah, I know that marketing is only one third of the competition, but it's really that's your chance to be wild.
Yeah. For me, I hope I can actually like promote my drink. Um, uh, so for me, I actually when I'm off, I try to bring my ingredients around and I try to visit the bar. Yeah, like some of the bars, so I visit them and I give my name card. So actually, I printed my own name card with my legacy, like my ingredients and everything, my logo. So actually, I pass them my name card and then ask favor from the bartender, like, can you make my drink and then take a picture for me. Yeah. So for me, I hope like I'm giving them my recipe, so I hope that they can actually make my drink either on their bar or like they will actually recommend the bar that I'm working for, so they can actually the guests can actually look for me and then I go for my drink.
And that's really impressive. You're doing a lot of legwork on that. You know, I think sometimes we get too comfortable and a little bit too lazy, and we forget what it's like to go door knocking.
I think that was like the easiest way that for me that I can do because like off day um rather than staying at home, so I try to like go out and look for the bartender that can actually help me to promote my drink.
I think that's a really great piece of advice. You know, the second you stop and you get too comfortable, it's a, your legacy journey really stagnates. Joe, do you have a partner or do you have kids or anything?
No.
So that's why you can spend every night out at a bar.
Yeah, so like what is the time now in Sweden?
It's 9:30
9:30 in the morning.
at night. Joe,
Oh, okay,
I
okay.
wouldn't be drinking wine at 9:30 in the morning, buddy. You know, yeah, I think it's for me here in Sweden, it's a completely different experience to what it would be like over in Malaysia. The bar scenes are so completely different. You know, the drinking culture in KL, especially in KL, I mean, it can be quite crazy. I,
The
I,
cocktail, yeah. Mm. Yes, you
sorry,
continue.
man. Are you focusing in on high end cocktail bars? Are you focusing on pubs? Are you focusing in on just anywhere in general?
I try to promote my cocktail um in a cocktail bar. So because actually the consumer in KL they are actually still learning like how to actually appreciate a good cocktail. So some of the consumer they might not really understand. So for me, there is no point that you putting your drink in a like in a pub or something. So people they might don't really get what you are doing. Like actually I have like try to sell my drink in a bar which is not a cocktail bar, but people they just don't really know what you are doing. Like they might know what Bacardi is, but um they don't know about Bacardi legacy and about the competition. So when I try to explain to them, they might just like, oh, just give me a beer.
Yeah, yeah. That's a really great point for people. You know, you could send your drink to 1,000 different venues, and sell two cocktails. However, if you focus in on the right venues with the right people, it's so much more beneficial focusing on quality over quantity.
Yeah, that's true.
So that's really smart, Joe. It's a good thing that you're out there and you're experiencing it firsthand. And have you done any master classes at all?
No. So for me, it's a bit young for me to conduct a master class because I know that a lot of people they're actually more knowledgeable and maybe I just don't really have the confidence to do it.
Yeah. I think that that's something that someone told me, my brand ambassador told me that sometimes you have to be shameless and almost fake it till you make it. You know, and confidence is a
Yeah,
huge thing, and it can really weigh you down at times. And I know what you mean when you say, who am I to run a masterclass? However, what I would posit to you, Joe,
yeah.
is that it's your drink, it's your story, and
Mm-hmm.
it's your legacy. No one can tell that story, and no one can share that concept better than what you can, right?
Yeah. So for me, the best way is what I can do is I will actually tell the guests that actually having my drink, like I will actually tell them the story behind the drink and then share with them so they can actually understand like why am I using the ingredients and why I created this drink.
Yeah, cool. I mean, there, Joe, I think that there's a lot of space to think outside the box and think radically. And could you film yourself potentially
Yeah,
and send that out to different venues?
yeah,
I think with Legacy, it's one of those competitions where it really favors those who are a little bit weird and a little bit brave.
okay,
Yeah, I think one thing that my brand ambassador told me was traditional marketing will get you killed.
okay.
And that was kind of the spawning idea behind Radical Hangouts is that I've never seen anyone do it.
Yeah, I know. Because I think for me, I have seen a lot of I mean like in Asia, most of the top three. So they try to posting in the Instagram. They try to create a Facebook page, and then they're trying to do guest shift everywhere. But I have never seen anyone doing like a hangout interview or something like this. I think for me, it's really interesting.
Yeah, it was something that I want to meet people. I want to meet people in India. Shout out to Misbah. I want to meet people in Amsterdam. Envious, how are you? And yourself, man. All the way in Malaysia. It's 3 a.m. for you. It's 9:30 for me, and we're sitting here and we're talking Bacardi rum. I mean, how fantastic is that?
So, how many people have you interviewed so far?
In the last week, I've done five,
Okay,
and I've got 63 to go.
63. Okay.
Yeah, there's a lot of people. They've been really wanting to jump on board with this, and the concept's really taking off. So,
Yeah.
like I said, for me, it's about reaching the consumer. It's
Mm-hmm.
about reaching out to bartenders that want to compete in Legacy or in any competition, and sharing what we're going through, sharing our knowledge, sharing our experience and perspectives with each other, and also with anyone that's watching this. You
So
know,
how did you actually? Yeah.
things that you're telling me, I'm taking them down. I'm writing things down here. Things that I tell you. you'll take those, you'll develop, you'll become better, and
yeah,
if we share knowledge, we all win.
yeah.
And for me, as a person, as a personal bartender, like, this is what I want my legacy to be. You had a question, Joe?
So, how did you actually come up with this kind of idea? Like no one is really done this before. So, how did you get this idea to
To
really
be
do
to,
this?
to be to be honest with you, man, I'm not a Facebook guy.
Oh, okay.
I use Instagram a little bit, but I knew that I had to find a media that I liked. I knew I had to find something that I connected with and that I could resonate with. And I'm always on YouTube.
Okay.
I watch Bartender at Large, and they travel all around the world. They talk to bartenders. They talk to restaurant, bar, hotel owners, and they share stories and perspectives. And that's something that I really was inspired by. So I decided, okay, well, how can I adapt that to fit my campaign, and how can I make that my own? And so that was the starting point for this. And to be honest with you, Joe, I'm still working through the kinks. I'm learning each and every interview, and we get better. The interviews get better. I get better. You yourself get better, and I see it as a win-win-win.
Yeah.
And
For me, I think it's
for me, it was one of those things where if you're selfish in competitions like this, it doesn't do you any good. I want to any success that I get, I want to share it with you over there in Malaysia.
for me. I think it's a really good idea to like doing this kind of interview, and then we are sharing our experience and our idea. Yeah, I agree with you. Like, we are actually learning from each other.
Yeah, it's huge. Because if you're keeping your knowledge to yourself, and if you're keeping your secrets to yourself, I mean, it benefits you for only so long. And the concept behind Cupid's cocktail, it's radical thinking. And what's more radical about jumping online, sharing our ideas, sharing our stories, and having a couple of shots of rum half a world away, Joe?
So, I got another question here. So, how did the Bacardi team in Sweden they help you guys to like grow? Is there
Yeah. Um, the Bacardi team here is really fantastic, especially because I'm 2 hours away from the head office.
okay?
So we get 10,000 crowns, which is 1,000 euros,
Okay.
and with that we can do all the marketing that we want. We can do all these crazy ideas.
Okay.
But for them, I'm constantly annoying them. I'm asking them all the time. Find me events. Get me in front of people, and they do. They're fantastic. So don't be scared to use your ambassador. That's what they're there for,
Yeah.
and they want you to succeed as well, because with every step of success that you have, it's also their win. So I think I'm not a shy person. I'm really happy really easy to engage with. I got a million questions for a million people, and I use that to my advantage. And I make sure that I milk every bit of information, every bit of advantage that I can from my ambassador, and I make sure that I keep a good relationship as well. How about you over in Malaysia? Well, how's the relationship between you and your ambassador?
It's quite good. He is really like helpful whenever we need help, because actually the top three for this year we actually still very young. Like I think I'm the most experienced comparing to the other two. So because one of them, he is actually like only 2 years. Two of them, both of them is actually like two or like below 3 years experience in the industry. So three of us is actually quite young, but the good thing is the industry people, they are really helpful. Like they will asking like for me, whenever I go visit their bar, so I ask them to make my drink, they are always okay with that. So for me, I think it's really it helps me a lot. Like when they post in the Instagram, the social media. So for me, I feel like it's really great that the industry, they are actually like helping each other, and they help the young generation to actually like to grow better.
Yeah, I think that's huge because that goes back onto what I was saying about having to share your knowledge and don't be a jerk.
Yeah.
Give me a second here, Joe. I got my little baby sleeping right here, just to make sure that he's sound asleep. Um, yeah, so talk to me a little bit more about history. Talk to me about how is Malaysia growing, and where do you see yourself fitting in with Malaysia's trajectory on in the cocktail world?
Malaysia history in the cocktail world.
Yeah, I mean, KL is such a new scene.
Yes.
Uh, I can't imagine that there's too many storytellers making drinks.
Oh, okay. Um, I think the cocktail scene in Malaysia is actually just started like maybe around 10 years ago. So I think way before that, the people they might not really enjoy cocktail. So it's like recent year, the cocktail mart is getting more, and the people like the industry people, the bar owner and the bartender, they try to educate the people to how to actually enjoy the drink.
And are you finding that's something that you can use to your advantage?
For me, yes, of course, because for me myself, I will actually do like whatever they are doing now, like try to um, educate more people, and tell them how to actually like giving them the product knowledge, like what actually they are having.
Yeah, that's fantastic. I'm always so proud of when people are in smaller markets and doing such a great job. So, Joe, man, I've got to run up to my little boy.
Okay.
Let's take one more little shot.
Okay.
Joe, thank you so much for being on a Radical Hangout.
Thanks for your invitation.
Cheers.
Cheers, man.
So, as always, in a couple of weeks, I'd love to do this again and see how you're going.
Okay.
Sounds good to you?
Yeah, yeah, of course. Yeah, you can just drop me a text.
Perfect, man. Joe, it's been an absolute pleasure speaking with you, buddy.
Me too. So I hope you can actually like um so I think we can actually have a better chat for next time. I will be more ready for it.
No, mate, no stress, buddy.
Okay.
All right, cool, man. And hey, all the best in the next couple of weeks.
Yeah, you too.
And let's do a short-term menu swap.
Okay, sure, no problem. Yeah.
Perfect, brother. All right, man. I'll talk to you soon.
Okay, sure. Bye. See you.
All right, big love, Joe. Bye.